not showing.
Okay, just a moment.
Yeah.
ये तो आया था शेयर ये विंडो हाँ ये है ना ये एंड शेयर
Is it now showing? Yes, ma'am. The slides are showing now.
fine
Yeah.
fine thank you very much for inviting me for this talk and I appreciate your organizing this conference especially in this pandemic. Now, we have heard a lot about DNA fingerprinting in forensics. Yes, it is a wonderful technique which has been used or is being used, and it gives us a result with 100% accuracy. Now, apart from forensics, what I'm presenting today is a part of forensics. Because in forensics, basically, forensic science is a mixture of various aspects of science. Now, we do talk about the forensic situations like murder, paternity, maternity, and whatever. But ultimately, it is the identification of an individual in a particular medical legal situation. Here, today, I am talking about a situation which is a chimeric situation. It's a chimeric status, is a sex mismatch for forensic analysis using YSTR DNA markers. I'm rather the first student in forensics to work on DNA fingerprinting in India using the conventional techniques like multi-locus probe or the single locus probe. I don't know how many of you present today have worked with the multi-locus probe or the single locus probe. I agree. I think most of you must have worked with the PCR techniques. Rather, I am the first one in India to solve the criminal case of India, which was submitted to me by the National Human Commission, which was regarding a husband and wife who were convicted in a murder case. And when both of them were put behind the bars, the female, she conceived during her tenure in the jail. And during this period, her husband, he alleged the jailer of this woman's cell that he has raped his wife. And this case was submitted to me at AIMS. Professor Dogra was the head of department those days. We did this case and we could prove using this technique. No, it's not the jailer who is the father of this child. It is her own husband. Fine, I'm not going into details about this case. I better proceed for what I'm presenting today. Forensic science, it offers a great potential as it draws on almost every disciplines. And as I said, it is a mixture of, or it consists of number of sciences in it. It has forensic sciences, physics, chemistry, botany, zoology, statistics. And in doing so, it creates widespread opportunity for innovations, which is by the Mark Walport. Biology is the most powerful technology ever created. And DNA, I think, is the software, proteins are the hardware, and cells are the factories. They are all interrelated. DNA, we know that, is the genetic material. Proteins were earlier thought that they are the genetic material, but with due time, when the scientists did a lot of experiments, it was proved that it is the DNA which is the genetic material, not the proteins. But DNA or proteins, they are they are generated from the cells, and the cells are the factories. With genetic engineering, we'll be able to increase the complexity of the DNA and improve the human resource or the human race. But we have certain ethical issues regarding this. Now, when we talk about DNA, in English dictionary, you have the 26 alphabets A to Z, which makes the Oxford Dictionary of 3,000, 4,000 pages. But in DNA, we have only four alphabets, that is A, T, G, C, and it makes a sequence of the DNA which is quite enough. It is not, it's more than 3,000, 4,000 pages. It's as big as a building of is. And the nitrogen in our DNA, our DNA consists of nitrogen, calcium, and many other things. The nitrogen in our DNA, the calcium in our teeth, the iron in our blood, the carbon in our apple pies are made in the interiors of collapsing stars. So we are made of star stuff. So DNA is what it's transmitted from generation to generation. But I add that it is transferred from generation to generation with little modifications. DNA neither cares nor knows. DNA just is. It is just like that. And what do? We just dance at its music. So it's the DNA which plays a major role in our body. For everything, maybe the diseases, maybe phenotypes, maybe genotypes, maybe whatever. I had an opportunity to meet Professor Alex Jeffries, who's a Nobel laureate, and the person who started the technique of DNA fingerprinting, especially in the forensics. He's not a man of forensics, he's a man of genetics. While working on myoglobin gene, he realized that there are certain VNTRs, that is variable number of tandem repeats, which can be used in the identification of an individual. Now let me say that it's not only the identification of an individual in forensics. Now this DNA fingerprinting, it's used even in the diagnostics. I don't know how many of you have heard about SNPs, that is single nucleotide polymorphism. SNPs again play a very important role. Now, many of you must have observed the two people having headache, they take Crocin or paracetamol or whatever you call Flaxon. For one person, he gets a relief in 5 minutes. Another person, he gets a relief in say 7 minutes or 8 minutes. But this is true. Very rarely you will find the two people getting relief at the same time. But what is this? This is again what the DNA is playing. You're dancing at your DNA. So it's the DNA which plays a role. Even a single nucleotide polymorphism. Single nucleotide, maybe there's a difference of A or T or G or C. It do play an important role. So it's the DNA which makes us to dance at its own music. This is what is conveyed here. Now when we talk about DNA, Rosalind Else Franklin, she was an English chemist and an crystallographer whose work was central to the understanding of the molecular structure of DNA, RNA, viruses, co-liquefied. And in 1952 then, Hershey and Chase were the ones who conclusively proved that DNA is the genetic material. As I said earlier, it was earlier thought that protein is the genetic material, but in 1952, it was cleared, it was studied, and it was concluded that it is the DNA which is the genetic material. And later, James Watson and Francis Crick, and Morris Wilkins, they shared the Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine in 1962 when they discovered the double helix structure of the DNA. Now you look at the screen, you see DNA is just moving. It is the then it was mentioned by Watson that the molecule is so beautiful, its glory was reflected on Francis and me. It's when they discovered that it is the double helix structure. Now, DNA, the deoxynucleic acid, is present in all of us. Then, what do we do in the identification of the DNA analysis? And in fact, it's 99.9% of the DNA which is same in all of us. So it's 0.1% which is different. Now please understand the value of 0.1%. Many of you must have observed even at home, your child or your sibling is getting 98.5 and his or her friend getting 98.6. Then you scold, oh my God, you got 1.1% less than him or her. So it makes a difference there. Even there, when you go for the admissions to the universities or to the colleges, the cutout is 98.6. But your child or sibling has 98.5, is not getting the admission. So 0.1% is very important, and it's very, very, very important in the DNA analysis. And it is this 0.1%, it makes all the differences. And it is a technique which is used by the scientists to distinguish between individuals of the same species. Let me tell you that here I am to talk about the DNA fingerprinting about the humans, but we have used it in animals, we have used it in plants. You have a very good research paper regarding these topics. Now, as I said, the history of the DNA fingerprinting, it was started by Professor Ellen Jeffries with the multilocus. Rather, this slide belongs to Professor Ellen Jeffries. I'm showing it, sharing it with his publishing. He did the paternity test with the child, mother, and the father. Now, as we see, the 50% of the genes are transmitted from the father and 50% of genes are transmitted from the mother as per the Mendelian law of inheritance. That's true, but I had a I slightly modified this definition, and I have a reason behind this. The 50% of the genes are transmitted from the biological mother and 50% of the genes are transmitted from the biological father. I have a very good reason for this to modify, why I modified, because I was once asked a good question. And now, Mendelian at that time was not aware what will be the improvements or what will be the new innovations in near future. As on date, we have in vitros, what we call test tube babies or IVF, or we have the surrogacy. In IVF, that's true that you have the cells of the mother and the father, that's fine. You don't need to use the biological word, but at times, I shared a story with late Professor Laji Singh shared with us in the class. There was an IVF center in USA. They had a very good successful rate. Later it was found that when one of the parents decided to go for the DNA fingerprinting just because of the curiosity, he found that the report given to him was the child shares the maternal alleles with the mother but not with paternal alliance with the father. So he got disappointed, and he had a reason to get disappointed. He just talked to few other couples. Few of them decided to go for the DNA fingerprinting test, and all of them got the same report. Then it became a matter of investigation. So it was found that in the investigation that the doctor there performing this IVF procedure used to use his sperm cells. So the doctor is the biological father of all the children. I don't know how many of you have watched Vicky movie. So Vicky there, he stores his sperm cells with a clinic, and the doctor uses those sperm cells for the procedure. So in other words, the Vicky is the biological father of these children. So using the word biological is very important. As on date, or so far, I have not faced any such problem while I do the analysis, DNA fingerprinting analysis in the medical legal situations, but a day is not very far now. When there will be a paternity dispute or the property dispute where you have to check the paternity, where we will have such cases. So we as a scientists have to get ready ourselves. We have to be ready. We have to prepare ourselves for the coming situations. We should know when we are collecting the blood sample whether the child born is due the regular procedure or it is an IVF or whatever. In case it is an IVF, so we have to be very careful and we should expect any result. With the advent of the time, from the multi-locus probe, the scientists came up with the single locus probe. Now, the advantage of the single locus probe was that you have either one band or the two bands. One band is of homozygosity and two bands are the heterozygosity. I'm not going into details, all of you know about it. So, but the formula is same, 50% of genes from the father and 50% of genes from the biological mother. Now, we have seen so far RFLP, autoradiographs, that is the SLP or multi-locus probe or single locus probe. Then we have seen the HLA-DQ alpha. We did a lot of analysis using that PCR-based technique. Now, we are doing the automated STR, and we have shifted from 16 loci to 24 loci so far. So presently, most of the labs with them performing the VNTRs or the STRs. I'll not go into details how the DNA is transferred because I've already talked about it, about the Mendelian law of inheritance. It is again the 50% of genes. Then you can have any combination of these colors, but ultimately it is 50% of the genes from the biological mother and 50% of genes from the biological mother. Now, this technique, it promises a correct identification of the culprits. It's more powerful, I say. Most of us, we say that US president is most powerful. But I say even it is more powerful than the US president. Yes, I have a reason to support this statement. That is when we talk about the Bill Clinton case. And all of you know about this case that after examining the undergarments of the Lewinsky, Mr. Bill Clinton, ex-president of US, was found guilty of this case. DNA profiling technique, it promises correct identification of an individual, except in monozygotic twins, but there are certain novel forensic situations which may prevent the association of the perpetrator of an offense with a stain left at the scene of crime or lead to false identification of an individual. We know that by this time, we know that monozygotic twins have the same DNA profile. Now look at me and my sister, we are identical twins. Now look at my cousins, they are dizygotic twins. So we have two types of twins, monozygotic and dizygotic. Now, this is the multi-locus probe where we had the 7 suspects, but the blood stain at the scene of crime. And we could easily say the suspect 5 is involved because the blood stain at the scene of crime matched with this. We can even check the mitochondrial DNA if we have to check the maternity of an individual. Now, what I'm here emphasizing today in my talk is the chimeric situation. What's chimerism? A chimera is essentially a single organism that's made up of cells from 2 or more individuals. That is, it contains 2 sets of DNA with the code to make separate organisms. You have many situations like that, and these are formed from at least 4 parent cells. Each population of cells keeps its own character, and the resulting organism is a mixture of tissues. Cases of human chimerism have been documented. Now, there can be a natural chimerism. One chimerism is because after you have the blood transfusions or you have the bone marrow transfusions. Another situation is a natural chimera. It is a condition where an individual has 2 sets of DNA, each with a genetic code to make a separate person. That means a fetus can absorb its twin. This occurs with fraternal twins. If one embryo dies very early in pregnancy, and some cells are absorbed by the another twin, the remaining fetus will have 2 sets of cells, its own original set and the one from its twin. Now, human-made chimera can be fetal maternal transfusion, blood transfusion, purposefully after hematopoietic stem cell transplantation. As such cases show that for correct analysis, other tissues like buccal swab, hair follicle, etc., along with blood sample need to be analyzed. Erroneous conclusion can be drawn when a person as the source of the biological is genetic chimera. So we have to have all these details when we're doing the DNA analysis. Now, what prompted me to work on this thing? A woman who suspected that she has been sexually assaulted while unconscious. Mixed DNA profiles were obtained from external vaginal swab, body fluid on undergarment, and the reference buccal swab taken from the complaint. Sample of the blood and the hair from her gave DNA profile that were different to each other. Further inquiries revealed that she had received a bone marrow transplantation as a treatment for leukemia. The another thing an episode which I did in a paper was that a person who was a criminal, who was lodged in a jail, but had to undergo the hematite cell transplantation. He was admitted in one of the hospitals, not in India, outside India. After this transplantation, he decided to commit a crime. He just ran away. He escaped from the hospital for a few hours, committed a crime, and came back. Not being noticed by anybody or whatever was the situation, not clear to me. But when the investigating agency, they tried to find out this DNA analysis, they tried to collect the biological exhibits at the scene of crime and all that. They could not get the DNA, which was already with them. They even collected his blood, they couldn't get the matching. So they never thought about it. But then there were some other circumstantial evidences which collaborated this man to that scene of crime. And basically this is the idea where I got to work on the chimeric situation in forensics. Now, indirect transfer of cell material between 2 individuals may also produce microchimerism in the recipient. And the second type is called the tetragametic chimerism. This occurs when 2 separate ovary fertilize 2 sperm and produce 2 zygotes. I've already talked about the chimera and chimerism. I don't think I need to again repeat it. In my work, in my study, what we did, we collected 195 samples from 15 different pairs of female donors and male recipients. Consents were taken before collecting the samples from these individuals. Normal donors, all normal donors, patients undergoing hematopoietic stem cell transplant. And these were the markers which were studied for this, to carry out this study. All Y chromosomes. We did the PCR, we performed PCR, then amplified PCR where analyzed using API 3100 genetic analyzer. We had the three controls, the inbuilt house kit supplied within the kit and the negative ones, which were used to maintain the sensitivity of the analysis. Now these are the cases which I'll not go into details. If you can read it, go through this. And this is the example what we have done. And I will just summarize it. That it is the hair follicle which did not show us the mixed profile of all these in these cases, because we have collected these samples at different period of intervals. Within the 7 days of the transplantation, 15 days of the transplantation, and the 30 days and 90 days. What we have seen is, at times, blood samples showed or demonstrated the mixture of samples at certain intervals, but it is the hair follicle which did not show us the mixture of the DNA at any period of time. So thus, we conclude that hair follicle or the hair root is the best sample for analysis of the DNA fingerprinting in all situations. It's forensic or whatever situations. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Anupama, for your wonderful presentation. If anyone have any questions regarding Dr. Anupama's presentation, kindly ask her.
Yeah. Good morning, Dr. Anupama.
Good morning.
Yeah, this is Mayank, and just as in starting of your presentation, you said that yes, there were some paternity disputes in US regarding the donor. Yes. Just I'd like to say that there have been cases in India as well. I would not like to.
I agree, but I haven't come across it.
Okay. So there are around 2-3 cases at present right now going in. The cases samples are in FSL Delhi. And the samples, the dispute is between the dispute is between the families of surrogacy and the paternity centers, IVF centers.
Okay.
Because they also have used the semen from the same donor, not the father, not the biological father, I mean to say.
Right. That can be determined by using this DNA technique.
Yes. Like since I'm working in this, I was with this Truth Lab as assistant director DNA, and right now also I'm working in DNA. But
I'm sorry, I didn't hear your name. May I know your?
It's Mayank. Mayank. So there have been cases, and your study, first of all, I would like to say that it was a very interesting presentation on chimerism and the samples which should be used. Keeping in mind that the rate of chimerism and the cases reported still they are very less. But what you are doing, it's a commendable work. I thank you for your presentation.
Thanks, sir. I agree. There may be cases in India is nothing unusual. We can expect more cases in India like that. Because I talked only about one center in USA, but maybe there are more like that.
Yes, definitely.
So, but in India we can expect such things. That is why we should be very careful when I don't know what is the procedure at FSL, but at AIIMS, yes, we do have the consent form we have certain informations which we collect, and now I have rather started using this column also, whether the mother has given a birth to a child with a normal procedure or an IVF or an surrogacy. We do collect such information because see, I have across, I don't know, I think maybe I am wrong. I am the one who has the most years of experience in India because I'm working since 1991. Because I remember that I had a case when I was doing Italy where for the kidney transplant, a child came and the the child wanted to donate a kidney for the father, but it did not match. I tried to match it. I performed this experiment or this twice, but it did not match. Finally, the father revealed because ये कब की बात है 92 93 की 94 95 की बात है the father revealed yes I know my wife this child does not belong to me but he was very clear about it but then now we have the many techniques see even the STRC as you know it can give you the mixture of samples so you were two people four people so this is a very good technique thank you any other question because people have hello people in forensics are mainly working on the population data. That's wonderful work. But I think there has to be someone who has to work something different to give an idea and which will help the FSL and CFSL. So I think I'm doing that.
Yes, ma'am. Certainly you are doing that.
Fine. Thank you very much. Thank you. Any other question I would appreciate? That would make me feel that there were some listeners.
ଏଇଟା କଟା ଏତିକି ବନ୍ଦ କରିଦେଉଛି ନା କରୁଛି?